Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over NFL Week 4. Again, we do post the official picks over on Twitter, over on Instagram at Stats and Stacks Podcast, and we're dabbling a little bit with TikTok. Last week we killed it. I'm 5 of 6 on UFC picks, 5 of 6 on NFL picks. We're just on a train, baby, and we're going to keep this thing rolling. Not much else to say. Gonna honestly just go straight into the week here. The very first matchup, again, is that Thursday night game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over under set at 7.5. I get it. Jaguars are a dumpster fire. They're not very good. The Bengals, their defense has picked up the slack. Their offense, a little inconsistent, but they have good games, they have bad games, and odds are they're going to have a good game against the Jaguars with how bad they are. So I totally get it. I also totally get the over-under being set at 46. In all honesty, on a betting perspective, I'm probably just taking the over. I think the Bengals do put up a lot of points. And the Jaguars, it just screams backdoor. So I don't want to have to deal with that. That does make me a little nervous. So I'd rather have them backdoor and hit the over than backdoor and have any other issue. On a fantasy perspective, on the Jaguar side, you can start Marvin Jones. That's about all I'm starting. You can pick a receiver. If you're the Chenault owner or the DJ Shark owner, you start him. James Robinson, I don't know what I'm doing with him right now. He's hit or miss, so I need to see it one more time. Trevor Lawrence, not the biggest fan right now. There's too many picks, not enough touchdowns. So right now, I'm personally on the Marvin Jones side as a receiver, but if you have the other ones, I totally get it. Bengals side, fire them up. Joe Mixon is going to eat your Jamar Chase. I don't think he can keep up this pace, but for now, you ride the hot hand and you start him. T. Higgins has officially been ruled out, so at that point, you can start Tyler Boyd if you have to. But otherwise, the bet is going to be the over straight up. Then my next game is always going to be the Bills, just because they're the best team in the NFL and my favorite team. So that always pops up here. Going up against the Texans. Bills minus 16 favorites. Good Lord. Over under set at 47. Yeah, I love the Bills. I hate lines over 2 touchdowns, so I'm not touching that. There's always backdoors and things to worry about. The 47 I will touch, because the Bills, last week put up like 41 points by themselves. So at that point, having it at 47, I think the Texans score at least once. I'm definitely going to take the over, and I'm pretty confident in that over. The Bills can cover 3-4, so that the Texans will score somehow, some way they find a way with that veterans-heavy 2 score. In regards to their fantasy output, though, I'm starting Cooks, and that is it. Don't touch their running backs. Don't touch Davis Mills. I don't even know who their tight ends are. Jordan Akins, don't touch him. Bill's side, touch everyone. Start Josh Allen, clearly, no matter what. Diggs, no matter what. Start Sanders. Start Beasley. Hell, start Knox if you really want to. They are going to eat. So the over is definitely the play here. Play Cooks and play every single Bill you can. The next game we have, and the Bills DST, I don't think they're still floating out there, but you can start them. The Bengals DST is floating out there as well. You can definitely start their defense as well in fantasy. Next game, we have the Washington football team going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Over under set at 48. Washington favorites, 1.5. That's a tough game. That's a tough call on a betting perspective. If I absolutely have to choose, I'm actually going to take the home dogs here. I think the Falcons are very, very bad, but I think the Washington defense is a little overrated. I don't know. I don't feel confident in that pick at all, but I will have to go with the home dogs here. When it comes to, sorry about that, for whatever reason, that ad started playing. When it comes to the fantasy perspective, Washington, you can start Antonio Gibson. He's a little hit or miss recently. He keeps having terrible games and then breaking off a long one. I don't know how many times he can do that, but the Falcons are not a good defense. So if he's going to do it, this is a matchup where he will. You can also start Terry McLaurin. Taylor Heineke looks at him and nobody else. Logan Thomas, I guess he looks at occasionally. You can start him in a spot start, but he's just not my favorite tight end. But yeah, definitely start McLaurin. Heineke loves him, but don't start Heineke. I don't trust that. When it comes to the Falcons, you're going to go ahead and you're going to start your Ridley. You're going to start your Pitts. They're just kind of auto starts, especially with having such a bad defense. You're going to need to score. So those are the two you're going to play, even though they haven't been that consistent. You keep rolling with it. They're young. When it comes to the ground game, Cordell and Mike, it's weird. I don't hate either one of them. They're doing most of their work in the passing game, in all honesty. I don't hate either one, but I'm not in a rush to start them. So if you're kind of strapped for running back help, you can start either one. Otherwise, if you have options, I'd stay away from them. And when it comes to the next game, we have the Lions and the Bears. The Bears are a -3. Okay, so the Bears are a 3-point home favorite. Over under set at 42. Give me the Bears all day. I know they looked sketchy last week, but that was the Browns. It kills me to say it, but the Browns are a Super Bowl contender. The Lions are not. I think the Lions, the Jets, probably the two worst teams in the league. And I know the Lions were about to beat the Ravens last week, but the Ravens were decimated on defense. They had no defensive line. Marquise Brown dropped like 5 or 6 passes, like literally, no sarcasm, about at least 5 passes that could have been touchdowns. So that game was a blowout without being a blowout. It was very, very odd to watch. I'm telling you right now, the Bears defense is enough to win here. And in some leagues, I do see the Bears defense just floating around. Definitely pick them up. They're going to eat Jared Goff alive. I would not be surprised if the Bears defense outscores the Lions offense. That being said, when it comes to the fantasy outlook, the Lions are going to start your usual suspects. You're going to start DeAndre Swift. You're going to start Jamal Williams. You're going to start TJ Hawkinson, and then you stop. They have no wide receivers. Don't play around with that. Goff, fuck no, you're not going to start Jared Goff. Just stay away from that game. Literally just those 3, and that's the only Lions you'll ever start. The Bears side, if you want to get crazy and start Fields, I think that's more of a DFS like tourney play. I wouldn't do that in my own personal league. Who I would start is David Montgomery. He's going to eat this game. He's going to go absolutely wild. When it comes to their passing game, I do like Darnell Mooney this week. And A-Rob, you have to start no matter what. Then I remember it's probably going to be Fields, and I don't really trust it as much. But, I mean, the Lions are that bad that I'm willing to see. I mean, Fields going up against the Browns is tough in your first ever start. You're going up against the Lions now. This is when you eat. So I'm okay. I'm content with Mooney. I'm content with Robertson. If you have other options, definitely take those, but they're not the worst options. But Montgomery is going to go apeshit. All right. Then next game we have the Panthers going up against the Cowboys. Panthers. Wow. Okay. Cowboys -4.5 point favorites. Over under set at 50.5 because it is a Cowboys game. Man, I think the Panthers are fraudulent with CMC. I think they could be bad without CMC. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys here, as much as it kills me to say. I don't like the 4.5 line at all, but Sam Darnold is a lot better than people gave him credit for in New York, but he is going to have New York Jets Sam Darnold games, and I just feel like this is one of them. His first game without CMC at all. I don't really trust it. There's a lot of pressure. They're undefeated. They're on the road against a crazy Cowboy team who they're so up and down. I think it's going to be too much for Sam right now. I think the Cowboy DST is in play, in all honesty, on a fantasy perspective. I think the over is a little high, the 50. It's a Cowboys game. They have no defense, but I think their defense is going to be fine this week. So stay away from that. Just take them straight up. You start their DST, you start Amari, you start CD, you start Zeke, you can start Pollard, you start Zach. There's Dak. They're so good. You can start all of them every week. Dalton Schultz, you could even start. He seems to be kind of like their red zone tight end. I know him and Blake kind of split, but he seems to be the guy in the red zone. On the Panthers perspective, I think Chuba is buyer beware. I don't think he's going to do what you think he's going to do in the CMC's absence. He's not CMC. CMC is CMC for a reason. He's probably going to give you half of what CMC did. And I think a sneaky play is Robbie Anderson this week. Last year when CMC was out, Robbie got all the short routes and just did well with them, a lot of yards after the catch. I think with CMC out, instead of all of his work going to Chuba, I think Robbie might get some of those targets back. If so, he's a sneaky start. DJ Moore, not so sneaky. He's going to eat. He always does. He's so good. And that's about it. I want to touch on the other tight ends or anything like that. So, yeah, give me the Cowboys and start all your Cowboys and don't start Sam. Chuba, I really don't want to start. You can if you have to. Especially if you're the CMC owner, you probably have to. But DJ Moore should eat, and Robbie Anderson's a flyer. All right, Colts, Dolphins. Dolphins -2 favorites. No way. Nope. Give me the Colts. I know that they're 0-3. They are not an 0-3 team. They've had some tough competition in the Titans and the Seahawks and such. They're not going out there and losing to the Lions and Houston to the world. They're playing top tier teams, and they're close games. Like when Wentz did get hurt in one of them, I thought they were going to win that game. Then Wentz got hurt. Jacob Eason came in, and it was just scary to watch. So I think the Colts are being disrespected here, being the dogs. They have the better defense. The defenses are close. I'll give them that. The defenses are close. But the offense, you don't even have Tua. You have Jacoby Brissett in a revenge game, granted. But that means, yeah, he knows the Colts, but the Colts know him. And if you're able to game plan for someone you've seen all the time, I think some teams, certain people can overcome that and they just eat them alive in revenge games. Other people get tore up, and Jacoby Brissett is not top tier. So I think the Colts have him figured out. When it comes, so give me the Colts all day, especially as dogs. I'm just going to take them money line. -2 isn't even worth it. The +2 wouldn't be worth it. Just give me the Colts money line. When it comes to fantasy, Jonathan Taylor is going to eat. You can kind of run on the Dolphins a little bit. Their pass defense is good. So Michael Pittman's going to struggle. Zach Pascal's probably going to struggle. They're probably going to go to their tight ends a little bit. In all honesty, it's kind of how you beat the Dolphins, run and use your tight ends. But yeah, I probably wouldn't start receivers. I would just start Jonathan Taylor. When it comes to the Dolphins, God, their receiving core is a mystery. Waddle keeps getting all these targets, but he's not doing anything with them because they're such low ADOT. God, their running game, Gaskin. I have way too much Gaskin shares. He's not that good. He's steady. He gives you like the 6 to 8 points each week. He's not winning you leagues, but he's not absolutely killing you. He's just kind of there. So you're probably going to have to start. If you've been starting him, it's a reason you need to. So you're going to have to start him again. But I'm not really a fan of anyone on the Dolphins offense, not even like a Siki, nobody, in all honesty. I'd start Gaskin if you had to, and that's it. So give me the Colts on a betting perspective, and give me Jonathan Taylor, and that's the only one I feel good about the whole game in reference to the bet. Or sorry, in reference to fantasy. Next game, we had the Browns going up against the Vikings. Cleveland -2 favorites, road favorites. And unfortunately, I do agree with the line. Again, I reside in the Cleveland area, so these Brown fans are ridiculous. They don't understand how good the Bills really are. But no, I mean, in all honesty, you have to hear that this is our year repeatedly. I'm like, okay, Browns fans, but this could potentially be their year. If some of the Bills, it's the Bills year every year. But anyway, Browns sneaky good. They have a good defense, good run game. Okay quarterback. He's a little overrated, but he's not bad. He's middle tier. Passing game is good when healthy. They're a little banged up right now. But in retrospect, the Vikings, good offense, terrible defense. They're also banged up. I don't know if Dalvin has been ruled out. Either way, Madison is a fine supplement. He's really good as a backup, so he can handle the workload. But their defense is awful. Their defense is so bad. They put on that jersey and automatically forget how to play defense. So give me the Brownies -2. Honestly, it should be a shootout, but I don't trust 51 with all of these injuries. Like 51.5 is a lot of points when you're not 100%. So give me just the Browns -2. When it comes to a fantasy perspective, you start Chubb, you start Kareem. Honestly, the Vikings are so bad, you can start Baker and start Odell as well. That's where I kind of cut it off. I don't play with Hooper. I don't know what's going on with Shorts or Higgins or any of that stuff. Stay away from that. Just get your core four. In regards to the Vikings, I don't freaking understand it, but Adam Thielen can't stop scoring. He has like a end zone addiction. And I'm gonna ride the hot hand. Keep using Adam Thielen as long as he keeps scoring 2 catches for 2 touchdowns, whatever he's doing, just keep it going. Justin Jefferson is a stud. You're going to start Justin Jefferson. I'm not playing around with the KJ Osborne, Taylor, Conklin ordeal. I don't know what it doesn't seem like both of them can go off. It's one or the other. I don't want to guess. I just stay away. And in regard to the run game, again, you can start Madison or Cook or whoever is out there. And even, I mean, Cousins isn't a terrible start. He has like 8 touchdowns and no interceptions this year. He's killing it. You can ride the hot hand if you want. I feel like there's better options out there, but if you need to start them, you can. All right, next game we have the Giants going up against the Saints. Saints minus 7.5. God, 7.5, huh? That's tricky, man. That is. Okay. Over under set at 42. I will take. I'll take the over. 42. I'm gonna take the under. I have a thing where I will never bet a Jameis Winston game because I have no idea what he's going to do. It's the scariest thing in the world is to stand in front of Jameis Winston. It's also scary to stand with Jameis Winston. You don't know what's going to happen. It's damn fun to watch, but God, you don't want to put money on it. So I have to do over-unders with Jameis, and I'll probably take the under here. The Giants D isn't terrible. They were a lot better last year, but they're still not awful. The Saints D is still really good. Give me the under, especially Saquon. I mean, his leg injury, it's not his fault. Whenever I have a rule, whenever a top player tears their ACL, you pick them up a year after. You don't play them right away unless you're Adrian Peterson. It's just not a thing. Like I've had ACL injuries and it doesn't feel right the first year. You don't physically trust it. You mentally can't trust your leg to do what it's supposed to do. And it doesn't want to do it in all honesty. And he himself has said, oh, well, it flares up sometimes. Like he's telling you he's going to be fine. I'm not saying Saquon will never be Saquon. I'm saying that it's going to be hit or miss this year, and he's going to be normal Saquon starting next year. So I have 0 Saquon shares so far. The right decision. Can he have games where he explodes? Absolutely. Could this be one? Absolutely. But this year he's pretty touchdown dependent, in my opinion. On the passing game, you can't trust any of them. Daniel Jones fumbles every other play. You can't trust him. On the Saints side, you can't trust any of the receivers. Marquez Callaway, yeah, he looked fine last week, but Jameis Winston threw a touchdown to him and Sean Payton chewed him out. Like, obviously, that was not a good throw. It was a very errant throw. He just lobbed it up there and Callaway just happened to come down with it. Not the smartest play. You take away that touchdown, Callaway had like 30 yards and nothing else. So I don't trust any receivers. I don't trust their tight ends. You trust Kamara. Do that. But that's about it. Honestly, Kamara's probably the only one I trust to play in this entire game. Otherwise, I'm staying away in a fantasy perspective. Next up, we have the Titans going up against the Jets. Again, I said the Lions are really bad. The Jets might be the only other team worse. Zach Wilson is god awful. Titans -7. I know they're on the road. Fuck it, give me the Titans. But their defense is really, really bad. That Titans D is bad. You know what I'll do? I'll actually take the over here because I think the Jets are so bad that the Titans can score like 40 on their own. Let the Jets find the end zone one time somehow, and I feel a lot better. So give me the over because 44 is a pretty low number. When it comes to fantasy value, Titans, I know AJ Brown's probably going to be out. Julio is probably going to be out. So I'm not playing around with their wide receiver core. I'm not messing with like Anthony Fursker or their tight end or Ryan Tannehill. Give me King Henry. Henry's going to eat. He's going to touch the ball like 50 times this game. And I'm not being sarcastic. And the Jets will not be able to stop it. They physically can't. In regards to the Jets, you never start a Jet. The only one you could even fathom thinking about starting is Corey Davis. Outside of that, don't touch them. Stay away. When it comes to the Chiefs-Eagles game, interesting because the Chiefs are 1-2, the Eagles 1-2, but they're not the same. The KC being 1-2, you can't make them more than a touchdown favorite, and that is a mistake because they are going to take all their frustrations out on the Eagles. I know I thought they would do that against the Chargers last week in a loss, but they did. They looked good against the Chargers. They just fumbled and threw interceptions. They had, I think it was 5 turnovers. You're not going to win like that. And they still lost. They lost on a game-winning drive when they had 5 turnovers. So they were dominating the game. They just couldn't hold on to the ball. The Eagles defense is that bad. It's not going to matter. The Chiefs aren't going to do that again. They are going to blow out the Eagles. They're going to beat the bricks off the Eagles. And I feel bad for Philadelphia fans because it is going to be a bloodbath. When it comes to the Eagles fantasy perspective, I can't start any of them. I mean, if you really are in a pinch, you can start like Goddard or Ertz. That's it. I'm not starting Jalen this week. Kansas City's pass defense is pretty good. I'm not starting any of those receivers. They're not trustworthy. The Chiefs side, start them all. Anyone you can think of. Travis Kelce, start them up. Pat Mahomes, start them up. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, start them up. Tyreek Hill, start them up. I mean, freaking Brian Pingle, start him up. It doesn't look whole hard. That's a little hard. That's a stretch. But like seriously, they are going to explode. Give me the Chiefs all day as a bet at -7. They're going to blow them out by like 40. Give me the Chiefs as a bet and start every single one you can. Next up, we had the Cardinals Rams -4.5 Rams. Wow. Over under set at 55. That's too high. That's way too high. I know the Cardinals defense is not good, but 55, that's a little ridiculous. Both offenses are great, but the Rams defense is good. And a Cardinals defense, although they can't defend the pass to save their life, they have a good pass rush. And Stafford, he's not immobile by any means, but he's not the most mobile guy in the world, so they can get to him. Like, give me the under. I don't want to pick this game. 4.5 is kind of a weird number. In division, always gets shaky, and they always play extra tight. So give me the under. I think that's a pretty safe bet there. 55 is way too high. On a fantasy perspective, even though I'm taking the under, you can start Kyler. You're not going to ever sit Kyler. When it comes to Nuke, I might consider benching. If you have another option, try to, because he's not 100% and Ramsey's covering. So that's kind of a double, because Ramsey does shadow. So he's going to be all over Nuke. Honestly, if you're going to start a receiver, I would start someone like Christian Kirk. Rondell Moore is too much of a wild card. I could see Kirk going off this game in all honesty. But I don't trust that. I don't want to start Kirk, but I really don't want to start Nuke here. It's just a tough matchup. The Rams side, Cooper Kupp is apparently the CMC of wide receivers. This dude can't be stopped. I don't know what him and Stafford, if they were just like brothers from another mother or what's going on here, but Stafford absolutely loves Kupp. Kupp absolutely loves Stafford, and they can't be stopped. Woods can. Stay the fuck away from Woods until he proves that he can do something. Stafford doesn't look his way. He looks more at Van Jefferson than he does Robert Woods. I don't know what Woods said that annoyed Stafford, but Stafford is not a forgiving man, apparently. The Cardinals have been historically bad against a tight end, but have really picked it up the last 2 years. So be a little weary on Tyler Higbee. I know if you have him, you probably have to, you're forced to start him. I have him. I'm going to start him. He's kind of TD or bust here. That's about it. Honestly, that's all you can do there. Next game, we have the Seahawks going up against the 49ers. 49ers -2.5. Yeesh. At home. Over under set at 52. It's another in division game. Give me the under. I know the Seahawks score like crazy and have a bad defense. The Niners have a great run offense. I think it's going to drain the clock a little. That's the only way. You're going to have to slow down the Seahawks by running the ball, so it's perfect for San Fran. These games are always super close, so I don't feel comfortable betting them either way. Russ seems to get a lot of rushing yards against San Fran, which is interesting, but I don't trust either side, and the line's way too close. So give me the under in division. Then on a fantasy perspective, Seahawks, you're forcing the start of the ones you have. Russ, Chris Carson, DK, Lockett. They are the offense. They're not. I mean, Russ loves his tight ends, but they have two good ones, and you never know which one's going to catch the touchdown. Stay away from it. And the other ones have such high draft value. You're going to start them regardless. So start your core four when it comes to the Hawks. When it comes to the 49ers, I'm not touching them. Like Elijah Mitchell, I think is back, or I don't know who the running back is. In all honesty, it's going to be a committee. Jimmy Garoppolo is ass. I never really trust him, and they take him out of the red zone and let Trey Lance score anyway. Stay away from that. You can start George Kittle. Clearly, George Kittle is a man. That's it. I don't trust Brandon Ayuk after one game. Devo Samuel, I don't trust fully. I don't trust any other receivers fully yet. So start Kittle, start your core four with the Hawks, and you're good to go. Next game, we have Baltimore versus the Broncos. Broncos are the favorite. Absolutely. The Ravens are going to smash. I'm telling you right now, the Broncos are fraudulent. I know I alluded to the Panthers being fake. The Broncos are not a 3-0 worthy team. The Broncos suck. They played the worst teams in the NFL, and newsflash, the Ravens are not one of them. I mean, I understand the Ravens. I just said their D-line is decimated. They have no one in their defense right now, but it doesn't matter. The game against the Lions was not that close. I watched that game. I don't know why I watched so much of that game, but whenever they were in the red zone, Marquise Brown dropped the pass. Like, I'm not being sarcastic when I said Marquise Brown probably dropped 5 touchdown passes. Like, that is a legitimate thing. In regards to if he catches just one of those, it's not a Justin Tucker needs to make a career field goal in order to win ordeal. I'm telling you right now, the Broncos and the Lions, the Broncos are definitely better, but they're not a huge difference. So dude, this line is way off. Give me the Ravens. I know they're the road team that's hurt, but they're just, even their backups are better than the Broncos. In regards to a fantasy perspective, that gets tricky with the Ravens. You start Lamar. I know he had all the drops. Marquise seems to be a target magnet, so I'll just keep riding it. I'd start Marquise. Rashad Bateman's back this week. He's practicing. I don't know if he's going to play. He is just a rookie, but at least it's another option by chance. Mark Andrews, you're going to start where you drafted him, even though he's been a little disappointing. On the Broncos side, you can't start Teddy Two Gloves. You can't start either of the running backs. You think their running backs will probably go off with the Ravens injuries. I just don't know which one. Melvin Gordon definitely looks like the better one currently, but I'm not trusting that. He keeps breaking off long runs. If you take those away, he's not averaging anything. So I don't like that. I don't like Devontae Williams. I don't like God. Their receivers, dude, Tim Patrick. This dude just scores every week like Adam Thielen. I don't understand it. He doesn't stop. I guess you can start him in all honesty. I know there's a league where I have A.J. Brown and Deontay Johnson, and neither one are going to play. So I have to start Tim Patrick. So, like, I get it. If you're in a pinch like I am, he's a fine start. And Cortland Sutton seems to be the real deal. You can probably start him no matter what. But man, I love this line. Give me the Ravens. They're big live dogs. All right. And then the next game we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Green Bay Packers. Talk about injuries. The Steelers are hurting right now, and the line is showing it. Packers -6.5 favorites. And I'd probably agree. And the Packers don't win. The Packers dominate. I know that they barely beat San Fran last week, but typically when Aaron Rodgers wins, he wins by like 30. It should be the same with the Steelers. The 7 line against that Steelers defense, I don't know if Watt is playing or not. That makes a big difference there. So I'll probably be safe and take the over. Because the Packers for years have struggled against the running back, and they still do. Najee's out of like, if other people sit and such, I think Najee's probably their best offensive weapon, and he is their running back, so he could go off. Rodgers should go off. Yeah, give me the over. And in regards to a fantasy perspective, you start Najee, and that's about it for the Steelers. I don't trust Juju or Chase or any of that. Packers, you're going to start the same 3 no matter what. Never start Lazard, never start MVS, never start – I mean, you can start Tanyan at times, but you're going to start your main 3, Rodgers, Adams, Jones. You start them, and you call it a day. All right. Next game, we have the long-awaited return to New England for Tom Brady. We have the over-under set at 49. Seems kind of high. Maybe. Tampa Bay -7. Damn. I thought the Chiefs was going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be a bloodbath as well. Oh my God. I know they're on the road, but it's Tom Brady in a revenge game. He's going to eat the Patriots alive. I mean, and they're coming off a loss to the Rams. Tom Brady is 5-0 in games after he loses with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He just simply doesn't lose 2 in a row. Never has, never will. So at that juncture, you got to give me the Bucs, and especially if it's just a touchdown game. I mean, the Bucs they might have the best run defense in the league. The Patriots' best weapon is their run game. And one of their best running backs just went out for the season in James White. So if you're telling me it's Damian Harris and some rookies going up against the number one run defense, then you're at to lean on a rookie in Mac Jones, throwing to N'Keal Harry and Nelson Aguilar. Bloodbath is doing it is an injustice. When it comes to the Buccaneers, start them all. Start Brady for sure. Start Evans. Start Godwin. Start AB. I know Gronk is hurt, but if he suits up, they're going to try to get him a revenge touchdown so you can start him up. Start them all. The Bucs are going to absolutely kill them. Bucs -7 is a joke. Give me that all day, every day. And then last game, Monday night game, we have these damn Raiders going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Raiders, I'm convinced, are the Indiana Pacers of the NFL. They're never good. They're never bad. They're just always in the middle. They'll always be like contending for a playoff spot, but they'll end up going like 8-8. Like Jeff, they need Jeff Fisher as a coach so that they can go 8-8. Well, this year, extra game, they can't go 8-8. So let's see what Raiders show up, because right now they know that and they're 3-0, baby, but it's not going to continue. Give me the Chargers here. I don't feel 100% confident in that pick by any means. I'm just torn, so I'm taking the home team. -3, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I don't really like the 52.5. So I'll just take the Chargers straight up to win by a field goal. When it comes to the Raiders, though, when their fantasy value, you have to trust Carr. He keeps doing the damn thing, so trust Derek Carr. Bryan Edwards, I absolutely adore Bryan Edwards. He's one of my favorite players for absolutely no reason. However, he's very inconsistent. He's only catching passes in overtimes for whatever reason, so you can't really trust him. You can't trust the ground game. You can't trust Ruggs. You trust Carr and Waller, and that's it on the Raiders side. On the Chargers side, you got to start Eckler from where you drafted him in the first or second round. You have to. He's not doing the greatest, but he's not terrible right now. So you start Eckler. You start Herbert. He's on fire. He's looking pretty good here. Mike Williams is a surprise this year, and he just keeps doing the damn thing. He usually does this, but then gets hurt. So start him until he takes himself out with an injury. So start him while you can. And Keenan is, speaking of hurt, he's been pretty healthy as of late, and he's a definition of consistency. That dude is good. He's one of the top 5 route runners in the league. So you start Keenan as well. Otherwise, we have some really heavy leans this week. Fantasy could be a struggle this week, but betting perspective, I feel really good about it. So again, you can see the official picks over at Stats and Stacks Podcast on Instagram, Twitter. The links will be in the description. Otherwise, I feel good. We're on a roll. Let's keep getting paid, baby.